Hey everyone, Tankenstein here. Being that this is the junction between a year gone and a year anew, I decided that this would be the perfect time to do a general retrospective on War Thunder in 2021, including all the major events, updates, news, ups and downs, and more. While a ton of people may be upset with the direction that War Thunder is heading, 2021 is undoubtedly one of the most successful years in War Thunder's history, boasting more players than ever, but I'll get into that in a moment. Either way, let's take a moment to remember the biggest loss of 2021 for the War Thunder community and, of course, for his family and friends, the untimely and tragic passing of 2 and 900. Rest in peace, buddy. With that said, let's get into the video. First, 2021 was a huge year for War Thunder insofar as player count on Steam is concerned, as players peaked at over 30,000 players in War Thunder on average in March, which is the all-time high for War Thunder, with the year in total seeing no fewer than an average of 23,000 players on War Thunder in 2021's worst month, which beats all but the top 3 months in 2020, which itself was War Thunder's best year ever until, of course, this year. Heck, War Thunder currently has nearly 2.5 times as many players as were playing just 3 years ago, at least per who's logged into War Thunder on Steam. Now, this is obviously the benefit of having a free-to-play game, but it also shows the wider appeal of War Thunder and how it's taking hold. We'll have to see if this rise in average player count continues, stagnates, or decreases, but of course, that all remains to be seen. This wild success has been in large part due to the movements that War Thunder has taken forward in terms of updates. To this point, we've seen a total of 5 major updates in 2021, carrying a total of 179 new vehicles, including planes like the F-5C and E, the MiG-23 and MiG-27, and of course, many more. These aircraft helped to usher in the Rank 7 aircraft era, at least the E, the 23, and the 27, which is starting to get into post-Vietnam territory, as well as several new tech tree lines. For example, we now have the South African tech tree combined with the larger British Ground Forces tech tree, of which was added in the Ixwa Strike update, and has turned into one of the most popular sub-tech trees in-game, with the Concept 3 being absolutely everywhere that you look. Further, much larger additions came to War Thunder, namely in the 2 Israeli tech trees, with the beta test for the air tech tree already being out and the first 2 Ground Forces vehicles currently being playable in War Thunder, both being added with the most recent Winged Lions update. Along with these many vehicles, we've also seen other improvements, including numerous substantial improvements to the game's sound, though I've heard some people say otherwise, as well as some major improvements to the Daegor 6.0 game engine. We've also seen heads-up displays being added to planes that historically had them, commander sights being added to many ground vehicles, and digging as a feature for tanks that either come equipped with or can eventually equip shovel/bulldozer tools. And for planes, we now have guided bombs, which is just another sign of the much more advanced future to come. Heck, for ships, we're even seeing recon aircraft, with many having a light bomb payload, which is awesome and a great step forward for naval, of which I feel has tons of currently unmet potential. Bismarck when? For planes? F-16 when? Get back to me on that, Gaijin. For events, there were many. 2021 saw a huge increase in minor events that are focused around battles, days of remembrance, or simply days to celebrate a branch of an armed force, such as US Air Force's Day, although this one has been in War Thunder for a few years, or one of the 6 battles that received remembrance this December alone, with November seeing another 6 such events that gave rewards. These minor events typically have you earn a certain amount of kills or wins and will give you X amount of medium-sized boosters or something similar. Such events have become substantially more common in War Thunder this year, which many might see as a welcome thing. With the proliferation of these events, we've also seen an increase in the number of larger events, including the standard Operation Summer and Winter, as well as crafting events and sales, including the Expert Order and Future Technology crafting events, of which gave rewards like the XM8 and MiG-27 MF. Speaking of future tech, April Fool's Day this year was a heck of a big event, of which was arguably the most obvious attempt to test future technology in-game outside of the Silent Thunder and T-90/Helicopters April Fool's Day events. The sales were of course typical, including the huge summer sale, which typically sees around 50% off on nearly everything, as well as the winter sale, of which we are currently in as I write and record this. What wasn't typical, however, is that there was no World War mode in 2021, which for me at least was incredibly disappointing, as World War mode was always very fun for me from a strategic perspective and always had amazing rewards. For example, the ultra rare M60 AMBT was a reward in a World War mode event in 2020. I genuinely hope these come back, as well as World War II Chronicles, of which we did not have this year as well. We did, however, have a large announcement in March of this year in which Gaijin told us that a new PvE mode would be coming to game, and even allowed us to essentially beta test it, which I feel was really cool. Finally, we also had Battle Pass fully come to fruition this year, as Season 1, of which started in early December 2020, was apparently far too easy and had too good of rewards, because with each Battle Pass thereafter, we saw the challenges arguably get more difficult and the rewards, again arguably at least, become of lesser quality. If nothing else, the average BR of the rewards between Season 1 and Season 3 dropped by nearly 1 full BR, at least based on the BRs of the vehicles when they were announced or released. This season is not much better, with that bow fighter being an absolute abomination, but that's another video for another day. And now, of course, for the controversies, because we cannot have a year in War Thunder without some controversies, primarily started by Gaijin. Now, I won't be focusing on this too much, but there are a few. First, one of the most recent controversies that the outrage of the community helped to correct was when Gaijin planned on taking away wagers and boosters that were already earned by placing a time limit on them in which we had to use them, with all future wagers and boosters having this time limit applied as well. This includes the special boosters that many people have that just simply have no time limit. This obviously caused a huge uproar amongst the community, as Gaijin planned on taking away things that had already been earned. After a partial retraction of the plan a few days after it was initially announced, followed by a complete retraction, Gaijin basically decided to keep it the way that it always had been, for now at least. Another controversy, albeit not quite on the same scale, is when Gaijin put a post-match reward change to a poll, basically allowing us to choose whether we want, as a community, different win-loss multipliers for post-match earnings. In short, they put to a vote the idea that losing should negatively impact RP and SL less, while winning would have less of an impact on those same things. So for example, I think the multiplier was something like 1.4, and then for winning, and 0.6 multiplier for losing. So instead of that, it'd be 1.3 for winning, 0.7 for losing, something of that nature. Ultimately, as the Scottish Koala pointed out, the win rate in War Thunder is over 50%, so as long as you are thereabouts an average player or simply have an average win rate, such a change would negatively impact you. Now, personally, I did not see the outcome of this, so let me know and everyone else know in the comments below what ultimately came of that poll. So I'm not really sure myself if anything changed, but definitely let us know. That would be really, really cool. Now, Gaijin also made it so that score is more difficult to earn. While it does not necessarily impact match rewards, it does impact match activity, making the increasingly activity-needy tasks more difficult than ever. For example, if you are in a tank that bounces a ton of shots, such as the KV-1E or German Churchill, I like to call it the Churchill, you used to get a ton of score by just sitting there and taking hits, which directly impacted your activity rating in a battle. Now, while bounces still give 10 score, it is nowhere near the same scale as it used to be. Destroying bases in RRB and AB is also substantially less beneficial in terms of score, which again negatively impacts battle rating and can heavily influence your position at the end of a match, which will also influence how well you do in a task. For example, if you need to get rank 1 or rank 2 in a match, and you just so happen to get rank 3 because the score is no longer the same how it used to calculate, you are not going to get that task done. In short, with tasks needing ever higher activity ratings, such as 85% or above required in a win, reducing score and thus reducing your activity rating is a major blow to the player, especially as tasks are becoming a more important part of War Thunder every single month, between Battle Pass, the constant events, and so forth. But with those controversies and everything else gone over, pretty much the major things, I decided two things for this video. One, that if I made this video into a sweeping and comprehensive look at everything that War Thunder did in 2021, it'd probably last close to an hour. So I wanted to condense it down to the points that I felt were probably most important. And two, that I wanted to end this video on a positive note. With that said, I think that the general direction that War Thunder is heading in, despite being substantially more monetized than ever before, is fairly promising. It's not like Gaijin is hellbent on making this a stale game, although of course we do need new game modes, or at least I'd like to see what sort of game modes that Gaijin has considered, because really Gaijin cannot have gone a decade, nearly a decade of this game being out in the public without considering at least a few more game modes. Now Gaijin has for the most part put in only historical vehicles for the game with very few modifications to suit War Thunder, which is one of the things I absolutely adore about War Thunder. It keeps this game far away from vehicles like the IS-22 in World of Tanks. Now if you're wondering, that's an IS-2 with two 122mm cannons. And no, it never existed, nor was it ever planned, blueprinted, or anything. The people at Wargaming decided to create that abomination and put it in game just so that they can torture people who get to that level. Now, this aside, for all the memes that we've had over the past few years, I think the F-14 may very well be coming to War Thunder in 2022. Well, possibly at least. Do I really think that it will? Probably not. But I think that the F-16 and MiG-29 may be here very soon, which I will put down as my wildest prediction for War Thunder in 2022. You heard it here first, guys. I'm predicting F-16 and MiG-29. Speaking of, let me know in the comments below what your wildest prediction is for War Thunder in 2022. Additionally, we may also be getting new ground forces game modes, as Gaijin has reached, or at least gotten close to reaching, the apex for ground forces with the Leopard 2A6, M1A2 Abrams, and other top level tanks. There's only so much farther that we can go. This will signal aircraft once again as being the lead in development insofar as future vehicles are concerned, which I feel will ultimately end up defining War Thunder in 2022, barring of course a major controversy, which I shouldn't be too surprised if and when one happens. Aside from this, I want to give a special thank you to everyone who has ever given me support in the past year, even if this is literally the only video that you've ever seen from me. Any and all support means a ton, and I appreciate it more than you might ever know. To give you an idea, in 2022, at least in terms of my growth, I had a total of nearly 110,000 views on all of my videos during that entire month, which if you had told me that in December of 2019, I would have been blown away. Now, this month alone, December of 2021, I have had over 410,000 views on my videos with nearly 5.7 times the amount of hours watched, which means that my videos are getting thereabouts 40% more view time than they used to, which is amazing. From the bottom of my heart, guys, I want to thank you all. Because of your immense and constant support, I'm doing things that I am not only extremely proud of, but you guys have given me the opportunity to have much greater freedom to live my life, and for that, I am eternally grateful. So here's to a great 2022, and one in which we can all see substantial growth in ourselves and whatever we're pursuing. You all deserve to have a great year, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. That said, of course, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next year. Take care, everyone, and Happy New Year.